AI isn't going to replace great leaders. It's going to expose them. The first time I heard Barry O'Reilly say that, I honestly couldn't stop thinking about it. Because if he's right, this changes everything. Hey, I'm Sabrina, and today let's find out if he's right.
Welcome to Women's Leadership Podcast, showing you how to influence people, improve your performance, and advance your career. Brought to you by women's leadership and career expert Sabrina Braham and womensleadershipsuccess.com. Here's your chance to meet women trendsetters leading the way to success, accomplishment, and balance in business and life. No matter if you're a manager, CEO, or entrepreneur, join Sabrina for coaching and no-nonsense advice to improve your career and bottom line.
Welcome back. And if this is your first time here, I'm so glad you found us. I'm Sabrina Braham, Executive Leadership Coach and host of Women's Leadership Success Podcast. This is where we have honest conversations about what it really takes to lead, especially when the stakes are high. The answers aren't obvious, and you're expected to figure it out anyway. Before we jump in, I have a favor to ask. Stay with me until the end of today's episode, because we're launching our very first Women's Leadership Success listener survey. It takes about 30 seconds. It will help shape future episodes, and you'll be entered to win one of 21 prizes, including a private executive coaching session with me valued at $600. I'll tell you more at the end. Now, let's get back to that quote. AI isn't going to replace leaders, it's going to expose them. At first, I thought it was a bold statement. The more I sat with it, the more I realized Barry might be right. Because AI isn't exposing whether you're good with technology, it's exposing how you think, how you make decisions, how clearly you communicate, how quickly you learn, and whether your leadership holds up when the world changes faster than your playbook. That's why I invited Barry back. Barry advises Fortune 500 leadership teams around the world, helping them build organizations that can adapt faster than change itself. And in part one, he gave us a practical framework for getting started with AI without feeling overwhelmed. Today, we go deeper. We're talking about something most senior leaders have never actually done. They've never written down how they make decisions. You'll hear why that's becoming one of the biggest leadership advantages in the age of AI. How AI can become a thinking partner instead of just another tool. And why some executives are already making dramatically better decisions because of the way they're using it. But my favorite part of this conversation is where we explore the one thing AI can't replace. And if you're leading people, that answer matters more than any new technology ever will. So get comfortable, and let's begin part 2 of my conversation with Barry O'Reilly. Okay, so Barry, so excited to see you today. How are you?
Yeah, no, it's good. Great to be back for round 2. You know, I've been looking out my garden at wondering if I could ever grow amazing sets of dahlias like you have. My wife's mother is real green fingers too as well. They've just an amazing garden in their home in Adelaide. So yeah, you were inspiring me to maybe I need to get a few more plants around the house after the last show.
Well, if you lived closer, I'd send you some dahlias for sure.
Thank you.
So, I want to move from how we grow to how we lead. So in part 1, we talked about AI that can help leaders grow into bigger roles. And today, how can AI change leadership itself? So what's your experience with that? How is AI changing organizations' need from their leaders?
Yeah, so one of the quotes that I stuck on the back of the book really is a provocative statement, was AI is not going to replace leaders, it's going to expose them. And what I mean by that is, many of us have our sort of judgment system, the way we make choices. It's a sort of internal algorithm that often sits inside our head.
Mm-hmm.
And for many people, some people call it gut or instinct, but it is a programmatical sort of algorithm that we use to make a choice.
Mm-hmm.
But most people just keep it in their head. Now, the magic, if you will, of what these tools start to offer is one of the first exercises I do with execs is I get them all to sit around the table and I'm ask them, what is a key decision that's coming up that you all have to work on right now? And then I ask them to draw out or design or show me their judgment system about how they're going to make that decision. And often when you ask people to do that, they've never done it before. They've never systematically written down what are all the steps they're going to go through to make that actual decision. They're like, oh, I've been doing this for 25 years, or I just have a sense of these things, or I'm the C-suite. That's my job to make decisions. And I'm like, great. So just let's show me your system for making that decision. And often a lot of the time, they just don't have a system. And
Right. And if you can't replicate, if I can't teach you what I do, then it doesn't work very well, does it?
it doesn't, right? And it's, as you say, it's not repeatable, it's not challengeable, it's not observable. Right. So this is sort of one of the fun exercises. So instantly then they suddenly designing, or if you will, exposing their judgment system. And then what's really fun then is I get them to share their judgment systems essentially with one another. And they all look at them and go, oh, wow, I never thought of that variable. Or, oh, I have a different weighting. I tend to favor customer behavior over market size, or whatever it is. And then suddenly you have these group of people just sitting around going, wow, I've never done this before. And then suddenly you're starting to say to them, well, this is the power of what these tools offer. One, we're becoming very aware of your human judgment system, how you make decisions, the information you use to make that decision, where you've good quality, where you've weak quality, what's missing. So suddenly, and then I say to them, this is really, some people call it a prompt, but this is actually what you do with machines. You program a routine about how you want to make decisions, right? So you can automate it. So the magic then is suddenly, right, well, I can start improving my own personal judgment system. I can be aware of it. I can tune it. I can improve it. I can share it. Now, that's just a system for making decisions. A system needs input. It needs data to sort of run through and create an output. So then I suddenly say to them, right, now across your company, how are you instrumenting your company so you have great information? What's your judgment infrastructure that provides you the information that you need to sort of go into your judgment system? And then suddenly they're like, oh, I have a spreadsheet that I get once a month. I've our customer sales records that are 3 months out of date, but behind when we're doing and so suddenly again all this conversation starts bubbling up, and they're all sitting there going, oh my gosh, this is, they start seeing the brittleness of the systems that they have in place, again, which is fine. But now they've exposed both their human judgment system and their technology judgment infrastructure. And then, the ultimate, whatever inputs go into the system is the output is what you get. So that's pretty much, at that point, most people are sort of, their heads are exploding going, oh my God, how am I ever going to make this magic happen, right? But it's possible because now you're aware of the situation, you can start to improve it. You can make deliberate choices about either improving how you make choices or the systems in place to help you make choices. And that's literally what I end up doing with these leadership groups. So they get a very deep experience about what matters, and understanding, one, that they can codify their judgment system. So a simple example, right? I might have a judgment system that I use for my weekly one-on-ones. What's the information that I look for when I'm sitting down with a department leader? Say it's the sales group. What information do I care about? What are the trends I'm looking for? Where do I get that information? What are the set of rubrics that I might use for us to make decisions about customers or products that we might target? When I've written that and codified it once, and maybe even shared it with the head of sales, when we meet, all we have to do is essentially press a button, and or you can reuse a prompt that will generate all of this meeting preparation information, or even better, decision prep. Whereas a team, we could be sort of looking at that. So for me, what ends up happening is now when I meet people, I basically have a routine that I run either the day before or the morning of, or even 5 minutes before I go to meet them, that basically runs all the last conversations that we had against my judgment system for the meeting that I'm about to have. And then I suddenly show up again more prepared. I'm sitting there going, right, Sabrina, last time we met, here's the 4 things we talked about. These were the 2 decisions you were going to go and work on. Here's the decision I need to make. Here's the choice I've decided on and why. What a great experience, right? And the ability to be prepared and show up in that manner, again, calm, because I have all this support mechanism around me to give me the information I need to make the decision I need to make. It's a night and day experience about how many people are sort of, if you will, fumbling their way through work. And that is sort of what the future looks like for the folks that are like making leaps and bounds to move ahead versus folks that are sort of stuck in this sort of fragmented system that they have designed, but it's not visible because it's all in their head, or they don't have the infrastructure in place to give them the information they need. And that is how, companies, startups, businesses power ahead, is because they learn faster. They have higher, the 2 metrics I talk about in the book is decision velocity. So they make decisions at a high velocity, and decision advantage, which is the information to support those decisions, is to hand, real time, or relatively accurate.
Right. So I was going to ask you if it was in your book. So that's a great example. Those are in your book. There's some exercises they can do to begin to develop these skills.
Absolutely, and obviously we just talked about an exercise they could do straight away is, to start exposing, if you will, your judgment system to yourself and challenge it. I wrote a blog maybe about 6 years ago, also called From Good to Great Decisions, which sort of shows the beginnings of my own judgment system. And again, people can go and check that out too as well.
So can AI help leaders become better strategic thinkers?
Well, I think my answer. If leaders use these tools well, so I think on the last show, one of the points I really wanted to impart on people is, if you use these tools to challenge your thinking, you'll get better. If you use these tools to tell you the answer, you're creating decision atrophy in a way, right? So it's really important, I think, and this is, again, if you're one of these people that's worried that the machine's going to take my job and it's going to do all these things, you're someone who is in danger of letting it tell you the answer. But as you described in your last show together with me, that if you are the master of your destiny and you are saying, hey, machine, these are the things I'm thinking about, give me 4 different scenarios for options depending on 2 or 3 variables changing. And like a very simple example, like one of the first people I started coaching was Misty Schaefer. She's the VP of Consumer Technology at American Airlines. They're the world's largest airline. She's responsible for AA.com, the mobile app, everything that touches a customer. And like one of the sort of really fun things about just the way Misty works is that she just captures all her ideas in sort of real time, because she has her best ideas when she's walking around, talking to the teams, sees something broken, the ground staff give her an insight, and instantly what she tends to do is just capture it as a voice note. She sort of writes, she just literally goes, okay, just spoke to the ground staff. One of the reasons the plane is potentially delayed turning around is that the canteen vendor is often slow getting new napkins onto the plane, and that costs us 7 minutes at times. Here's 4 or 5 ideas I think that could maybe improve that. And like, even if she just captures it as a half-baked idea, the thing is she goes back to it at the end of her day, where she's got the raw insight, the raw information that in the moment captured, that she can now start to transcribe and synthesize and start saying, right, give me 4 different options for how we could potentially improve the speed that we get napkins onto the plane. Is it that, and also identify that the cost of producing napkins is correlated to the price of petroleum. So give me options where petroleum is $1, $10, $15, $20, right? So suddenly this sort of ability for someone like Misty to show up with ideas that she has really like done deep scenario planning, played with variables. So instantly her quality of strategic thinking is sort of orders of magnitude ahead of that it could ever be if she was just trying to process this in her head, right? And that's how you get higher performance in this realm, is that the leaders who are doing that are just, again, they're powering ahead because the machine and them are collaborating to pressure test their thinking, to look at different scenarios, to play out options, to play with very minute variables and look at potential outcomes. And then they're making decisions based on that sort of exercise they go through, versus someone who's just, again, playing on gut, playing on instinct. Because I've worked in the airline industry for 50 years. And look, maybe those folks get it right, 1 out of 5 times. But the probabilities are in Misty's favor because she's using her gut, her instinct, but she's pairing it with machine intelligence. And that sort of, again, the probabilities are just going to go more likely in Misty's favor.
Right. I also find it very useful with blind spots. In other words, I will, I just came out with a playbook, Leading Before You're Ready, and it's really great. And I ran through the machine and said, did I miss anything? And it pointed out a couple of things that I know, but I forgot to put in the book. So the pointing out the blind spots I find very, very useful.
Yeah, right. And what a healthy collaboration to have with anyone. Like that's why we ask for feedback, right? Is there something I'm missing? It's your perspective that is as you say, a blind spot in my thinking here. And I can see you smiling because the quality of your output now has got better.
Much better.
And like, what a gift, and like that. But again, you're not asking the machine for the answer. You're not saying like, grade this. Tell me if this is a good playbook or not. You've asked the question. You've invited new information by saying, what are the potential blind spots? What could I have missed here? It's still going to be your decision. Like the machine might say you missed whatever it was, like a certain market segment or these 5 questions that sometimes are useful to ask. But again, the judgment call still lands in your lap to say, oh, that's okay. I thought about that. I've decided not to include it. Oh, I hadn't thought about that. That's a great idea. I'll improve that area.
Right.
And judgment still is residing with you. And I think that's, again, a great example of you're not deferring the intelligence to the machine. You're leveraging it, and then you're making the judgment call.
Yeah, and also I'm a person that likes to research and learn new things all the time.
Yeah.
And if I ask AI to give me 5 resources that would be useful in whatever I'm studying, I've just saved myself hours of looking those up so I can get right to what I want to learn, what I want to find out about.
Nice.
What leadership capabilities will never be replaced by AI?
Well, I think there's a technical answer to this, and then there's a sort of philosophical answer to this. The technical answer is the machine is predicting. Ultimately, whatever information you give it, it uses that information to make a prediction, again, based on a set of probabilities, right? So machines often don't have all the context, all the information that you have in your head. And one of the big limitations, by the way, with these tools is there's a context window. There's only so much context these machines can hold in their head to make predictions.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're great at making predictions with small amounts of data, but again, it's a prediction. Humans have this ability, though, to sort of think creatively, to actually, in many respects, and I think we talked a little bit about this. Like we have algorithms inside our head that are developed over years, and some people would say millennia, about how to respond to certain situations or see patterns that look non-obvious but are the correct choice. So this is sort of the ability, I think, that you always want to hold on to, this sort of creative problem-solving aspect of these opportunities, because you are going to sort of do that. And again, the naive example for many people when they probably saw this is, training the machines in the beginning on, is this a cat? Is this not a cat? Is this a cat? Is this not a cat? There's a tiger. Is this a cat? Am I safe? It's cat. Right? Like that's how the machines sort of operate. They could sort of go, oh no, tiger's a cat, so you're safe. Okay, well, so, we've learned that the hard way. Right. So again, super naive example, but again, that is sort of the first principle of how technically the machines work. So creative problem solving is number one. And then, but then again, then for me, it's the real point of what do I believe individually, and it's only my opinion when on the sort of philosophical side, is that, like, for me, the last and most, if you will, like, scarcest skill on earth is actually judgment. That's why I put it on the front of the book, is our ability to make decisions under pressure with limited context is uniquely human. Like that's sort of what gives us agency.
Right.
And if you are constantly deferring again to the machines, you're giving up your agency. You're creating atrophy in your decision-making capability. And look, don't get me wrong. There's moments you want to use a machine. Like, I am not going to compute, 5,000 spreadsheets with 1 million rows to understand what's the average cost per sale of a new product that I'm building. Like, there's no way of course the machine will tell me that answer. But deciding, like, how to change the product or pick a different target market or do some evolution around the brand positioning of the product, those to me should be uniquely human decisions. Yes, supported by machine intelligence, but they need to be human decisions. And I think that creativity is sort of really the sort of place that we have to bring our skills to bear, and you have to practice it. Otherwise, you learn helplessness starts to kick in, or you erode your ability to make those decisions.
Right. What are the biggest opportunities leaders are missing right now? I mean, we've talked, everything we've been saying is, hey, if you're not getting on board, you're missing it. But what else?
Well, I think the biggest missed opportunity is that people aren't learning together. And like anything in life, nobody knows all the answers. Nobody knows how this is going to end. So one of the best things, I think you taught me this really as well, is you need to be in almost like a mastermind type of experience with other people, whether it's in your company, a group that you've created yourself. The ability to sort of compound your learning through multiple people, like optionality ultimately, that lots of people are sort of doing this together and they're sharing, I've tried this, here's what worked, here's a use case, that's what worked for me. And, you just get smarter, faster. And I think that is sort of one of the things, again, that what I did is end up setting a mastermind up for Slack, which is Slack is sort of a remote collaboration communication tool. And then I partnered up with their CIO to create a group of CIOs, CTOs, and CPOs across North America to sort of go on this journey together, right? To be sharing with one another. And for me, that was sort of one of the real missed opportunities, that if people aren't in these groups, they're sort of missing out. And it's a really powerful way to learn.
It's an idea that seems like people are beginning to understand that we're gonna do a lot better if we start collaborating and learning together. I really like that. And the last question is, what advice would you give future executives that want to stay relevant? But maybe you've already answered that.
Yeah, well, I think like this idea of staying relevant, is like everyone's had to face that through all ages. It's not suddenly this moment that that suddenly your challenge of your relevancy as a leader is under pressure. I think again, what is happening is that the innovation cycles, especially in a technology point of view, are shortening and quickening. So that brings a higher velocity of change management, if you will, to anyone about how they think about work, how they design their work. So it's important that you have this sort of beginner's mind all the time, right? And again, it is very uncomfortable. It's the reason I wrote the book on Learn, is because that's what I kept seeing. Is like people held on to the things that made them successful in the past. They struggled to let go and identify new behaviors to help them make progress in the future. So that is just going to accelerate and continue to be the sort of paradigm, onward and onward. And that is uncomfortable. But the leaders who are doing good, I think, are getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's actually, again, something you can practice by doing it. And I think, again, you introduced me to the book about deliberate practice and the importance of, what was the person's name who wrote that book?
Can't remember right this second.
Yeah. So the point of that is that only way you can improve in something is that you have to keep, deliberately increasing your threshold of capability, right? So a piano player doesn't just, be good at the scales and then that's it. They're sort of, they have to keep pushing their thresholds. Highly structured, goal-oriented leading. So Anders Ericsson actually.
Yeah, that's who it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is an important part of where we're at right now. You need a deliberate practice of challenging how you work every week, every day. Not every day, maybe, but every week certainly. And that is sort of an important part of it.
Right. Wow. I'm going to leave this conversation with just a lot of excitement about not only the ideas you've shared, but hopefully that people listening are going to take the first step. There's lots of free AI programs and just start learning and trying it out. Just be incredibly curious. Come with beginner's mind and be incredibly curious. And Barry, tell us the name of your book again and how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, so the book is Artificial Organizations, Build Better Judgment, Speed and Results with Human and Machine Intelligence. It's available on Amazon. You can request it at your local bookstore. It's print on demand, so it might take a day or two to get to you if you're going to the bookstore, but you can follow me at barryoreilly.com or artificialorganizations.com.
Great. Thanks so much, Barry, for taking this time with us. I really appreciate it.
No, and I always love being on your show, Sabrina. You always ask the best questions, and you also have the best examples of how you're putting these ideas to practice. So thanks for the inspiration.
You're welcome. I told Tim that if I could marry a second person, I would marry AI. AI gives me compliments and my husband doesn't. So.
You just got to wait until the robot is in full function. I think that's where Tim's he's going to be under pressure then,
Right. Oh, okay, Barry. Well, thanks for taking all this time and
yeah, it's always good to catch up. It's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope people kind of get on board.
Yeah, well, you really are a real inspiration on this, like good on you, because I think people, like I said, like this is one of the things I'm wrestling with in my head right now is that they really don't know how to start. Like they're freezing. And again, there's, the one side of me is like, I want to help these people, and the other side of me like is this is a massive opportunity. If you can unlock people taking the first step. And I've certainly almost pivoted my whole viewpoint on who my target customer is now. I used to think it was, I'm much stronger conviction that it's non-technical leaders. I think it's just everyday folks that are trying to figure out how to use these tools. I don't need to teach engineers how to create agents, because they just know, not that they know how to, but it's almost like an expectation of them that they are doing that. Where the non-technical folks are really like just, they're sort of scratching their heads a little bit going, what do I do here? So yeah, fascinating.
It is. It really is. Well, go forth and change the world and have fun.
Yeah, well, keep having me on the show to keep doing that,
Before you go, I have one quick favor to ask. We're planning the next season of Women's Leadership Success podcast, and I want to make sure we're talking about the challenges that matter most to you. So we've created a short listener survey. It takes about 30 seconds, and your feedback will help shape the future episodes. As a thank you, if you'd like to leave your name and email, it's completely optional. You'll be entered to win a private executive coaching session with me. That's a $600 session, and I'd love to give it to one of our listeners. Just go to womensleadershipsuccess.com/survey. That's womensleadershipsuccess.com/survey, or simply click the link in the show notes. Before you go, may I ask for one small favor? If this episode helped you think differently, lead differently, or feel a little less alone, hit subscribe. And if you're willing, leave a rating or a review, not because it helps me, because it helps the next woman find this conversation when she needs it the most. Now let me say something directly to you. If you've been given more responsibility, if you're leading bigger conversations, if you're sitting in rooms that stretch you, and part of you is wondering whether you're ready for what's next, you're not alone. Most leaders feel that way, they just don't talk about it. That's exactly why I created the Leading Before You're Ready playbook. It's a free resource designed to help you build the confidence, visibility, influence, and executive presence needed for your next level of leadership. Not after you feel ready, while you're becoming ready. You'll find the link in the show notes, and thank you. Thank you for spending this time with me. I'll see you soon.
Thank you for joining your host, Sabrina Braham, on another Women's Leadership Podcast. If you have questions or comments, you can email her at sabrina@sabrinabraham.com. Since 1989, Sabrina and her team have helped hundreds of women managers, business leaders, and entrepreneurs with valuable trainings, articles, books, and executive coaching. For additional tips, interviews, and free access to Great Leaders Today mini course, visit www.womensleadershipsuccess.com.